Chlöe Swarbrick.
Prime Minister, e tautoko ana ia nā kōrero me nā mahi katoa a tōna kāwanatanga.
The Honourable Prime Minister. Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Yes.
Does the Prime Minister think, quote, profit is a good thing, as he said in question time last week, in the context of supermarkets making $1 million in excess profits a day?
We think profit is a good thing, excessive profits is a bad thing.
Does the Prime Minister accept that a fixation on profit at all costs leads to a rising cost of living for New Zealanders, as found in analysis through the COVID period, that rising profits contributed to more than half of domestic inflationary pressure?
Well, the member seems to have a challenge or a problem with organisations making a profit. My point is that that is a good thing. They are investing, they're taking risk, they're investing capital in order to drive growth, and we support that.
Does the Prime Minister accept that the prioritisation of profit at all costs, without any government intervention, results in concentration of market power and higher costs of living for New Zealanders?
What I accept is that we want to tap into as much investment from overseas, domestically, in order to get more roads built, to do more mining, to do more housing, to do more schools, so that we can actually get the economy growing with great infrastructure.
Supplementary. Are there any circumstances, such as in, say, healthcare, education, or when we see it so clearly driving the cost of living, where the Prime Minister might agree that corporate profiteering is not, quote, a good thing?
Well, I just reject totally the way the member is characterising profits. The reality is that corporates and businesses, people out there, 97% of our businesses in New Zealand are small businesses. They're people who take a risk, they invest their capital, they build a business, they employ people, they grow an economy, they create opportunity and choices for families. They should be celebrated, and it's right that they make a return.
Supplementary.
The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Could the Prime Minister please explain that if a business does not make a profit, it goes broke, and the employer and the employee, the staff and everybody loses their work?
That is exactly right. That's how it works. If you don't make money, as we saw because of a short-sighted energy policy that led to mills laying off workers because they couldn't be profitable, they couldn't make a return to cover the investments that they've got in their capital and their assets, that's exactly what happens. If you care about low and middle income working New Zealanders, you run and manage the economy as a fiscal conservative. That's what we're doing on this government.
Supplementary.
The Chlöe Swarbrick.
Can the Prime Minister see, understand and articulate a difference between excessive corporate profiteering and the profits of the likes of small New Zealand-owned businesses?
Oh, changing your tune now.
You like your one?
The member...
Wait on, sorry. Once you've asked the question, let someone answer it. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Could you repeat the question? Sorry, could you repeat the question? I want this on the record.
When the House is
To the Prime Minister, can the Prime Minister understand and articulate for the public of this country the difference between excessive corporate profiteering and the likes of profits from small New Zealand-owned businesses?
I understand business and commerce well, and I just say to that member that businesses making profits is a good thing. Where there are market failures, where there is excessive profits, why we have a Commerce Commission, some guidelines, some rules around all of that, that continues under this government. But I just reject the member's degrowth mindset from her party. Yeah, that is not what New Zealand needs right now. If you are a working New Zealander and you want to create a future for your kids or your grandkids, you need growth. And for that to happen, we need free enterprise and we need companies and businesses to be able to make profits. That's not a bad thing.
Poverty mentality.